This once in a 100-year pandemic has truly impacted all of us. And so it should be no surprise that it has impacted our children. But we should not panic, nor should we be surprised by the numbers that the state superintendent just discussed. Instead, I believe we should do what Ohioans have always done when facing a challenge. Stay calm, roll up our sleeves, and work to solve the problem. And that's what we intend to do. Let's talk about what we do. Let's talk first about our student wellness and success programs. In my budget 2 years ago, we put a significant amount of money in our budget for wraparound student wellness. And thanks to the Ohio General Assembly, they increased it even more. And I remain grateful for that investment and for the Ohio General Assembly's support. These dollars are available to schools today, and they're spending them. They're being used by schools right now. Now, teachers have told us for years that we have to do a better job addressing all the needs of our children, both academic and the non-academic challenges. Too many Ohio children are living in situations, certainly at no fault of their own, that impact their success in the classroom and ultimately in life. Whether that is living with a parent or parents who are addicted to drugs, or because the child does not have enough to eat, or because the child has experienced some form of trauma. So in our executive budget that we just announced this past week, we are expanding our investment in the student wellness and success programs and the wraparound services that they provide, and raising that amount to $1.1 billion. A study released in December by the Ohio Department of Education found that schools and districts have used student wellness and success funds to start more than 3,000 separate initiatives, from building on-site health clinics to counseling, after-school programs, all of these 3,000 initiatives serving over 1 million Ohio children. With this flexible funding, schools make decisions about what their students need the most. So far, more than 1 in 4 of the initiatives have been focused on mental health services. Almost 1 in 7 initiatives are focused on physical health services. For example, Fort Fry local schools in Washington County, they use their student wellness and success funds to expand school-based mental health services through a partnership with 2 community-based mental health providers and their local board of public health. 5 full-time mental health professionals have provided on-site, individual, as well as group counseling services. While students learned remotely at the end of last year, counselors continued to meet with students to address their mental health and their behavioral needs. Columbus City Schools, they use their money to hire additional school social workers, and they partnered with Nationwide Children's Hospital, to implement the Signs of Suicide program in all middle and high schools across the district. Social workers connect children to needed mental health services and focus on creating a positive school climate, while the Signs of Suicide program equipped educators and staff with skills to identify signs of distress in children and connect children to needed interventions. There are many other amazing examples of school districts who use their student wellness and success funds to meet the social and emotional needs of students to enhance classroom learning. These programs work, and because the pandemic has increased the need for this kind of help even more, it is vital that we continue to expand these efforts. And as I said, this is part of our budget that we've sent to the General Assembly. Now, in addition to the increased funds for student wellness, today we also must begin a discussion that will result in some of the most important decisions that we can make for the children in the state of Ohio. This is a discussion about how we help our children who are behind, those who are behind, get caught up? How do we get them back on track? And I know that some schools have started working on this, and that's great. And I know that the legislature is focused on this as well. I had a great conversation this morning with Senate President Huffman, Speaker Cupp, about this very subject. They have the same concerns that I do. How do we help the kids who have fallen further behind because of the pandemic? I know they are committed, as I am, to finding solutions. Now, our Ohio school communities know their students, and they know what it will take to keep students advancing and make up for any learning that may have been lost or delayed because of this pandemic. And so I'm asking them today, each school district in the state, to formulate a specific plan aimed at the individual needs of each of their students. I'm asking each school district to start working on this plan. I know many of them have already worked on it. But I also want to speak to every parent. And I would ask you to communicate to your local school where you see the needs are with your child and what ideas that you have as far as how we can catch back up. Again, this pandemic has impacted children differently. Superintendent Maria made that very, very clear. And I think when he talked about that, each child is in fact different. But I'm asking the parents to be a part of this and to work with their local schools. We need to be bold in our ideas, and we need to work with the Ohio General Assembly to make the changes necessary for our schools to implement their plans. Some schools could decide that extended learning meets their needs. That means days could be added to the beginning or the end of the school year. A school may decide the school day should be longer or that summer classes will help their students. Other districts may decide that tutoring, summer program enrichment, or remote options are the way to move forward. But regardless of the individual plan, we have to move, and we have to move quickly. Our kids get one chance to grow up, so we cannot delay. And so I'm asking the public schools to make their plans public for their citizens and for the General Assembly no later than April 1. So I'm asking for a public dialogue in each school district, a conversation. And just as we start this conversation in each one of our school districts, we also start it statewide. And the General Assembly will be working, talking about this, and I know they're very interested, and I am very interested in the ideas coming out of each school district. Now let's talk about this, how this can be paid for. Because I'm sure people are thinking, okay, that sounds great, but how do we pay for it? Well, fortunately, there are dollars available to accomplish this. In December, Congress passed a bill signed into law by the President that provides $2 billion in additional dollars for Ohio schools. And I want to thank the members of the Ohio Congressional Delegation for their work on that bill. The new federal funding is a tool for schools to start helping kids get back on track. While schools can use this funding for many purposes over the next 2 years, the priority should be helping close the academic and wellness gaps caused by the disruption of this pandemic. That's why we will work with Superintendent DeMaria and the General Assembly to assist schools in using this funding to execute their plans. The bottom line is this: the future of our state depends on how we help our children today. We simply cannot fail these children. Each child in Ohio, each child deserves the opportunity to live up to his or her full God-given potential. And we cannot allow this pandemic to get in the way for their ability to flourish and to thrive. After what has been an extremely challenging time in Ohio, we now have the ability to do something that matters, that will make a difference, and will impact both lives and the future of our state for many, many years to come. So I'm asking for that public discussion to start, to involve parents, to involve citizens, to involve school boards, superintendents, teachers, about what else we can be doing. And as I say this, I want to thank our teachers. I want to thank our parents who, despite great challenges, have done a very good job during this past year. It has certainly not been easy for them, but we thank you. We thank you for what you've been doing, and we thank our young people as well.